Seeing Emily today to register my new vehicle, and we've got a bunch of people whose terms are up. And you can register now if you wanna run again, either online, in which you have to do it by the 30th, or in person by the 31st. And the people whose terms are up, according to the town clerk's magic notebook, whatever, are Scott, Brian, Wilkes, Hayes, and Rich. 5 of you.
Yep.
Wow.
So you know who it is, and I ran into one person in town that was gonna sign up that isn't on this list, so maybe we'll have a contest, maybe we won't have to appoint somebody. It's up to you as to whether you're gonna run again. But I just wanted to pass that on, because we usually lose track of when our terms expire.
For my part, I appreciate you bringing that up, and I think this has been a great board for the last few years, and I would love to see folks sign up again, but I have nothing to do with that.
No pressure, she says, no pressure, you just like to have it.
All right, so we're through that. Now, the next item is the standard minutes that everybody got an email from Dina that had the draft that had been. So do I hear any?
We approve the minutes as presented.
I will second them.
And the owl's not working.
All right. Any amendments, corrections, comments?
I would note that I believe it was Hayes who made the comment about adding the two budgets together. Is that so? You want
I
credit?
don't need that credit.
Okay.
We try not to say who says, you know, he
Yeah,
says, she
right.
says, because then you get confused, or if you get it wrong.
But that was very nice of you to do that.
All right, so do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Bill
Same,
already
same,
moved.
all right. And no further corrections. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained?
Oh, Jen abstained
All
because
right,
she wasn't
so-
here.
Right, we're here.
That's right.
All right. Now, the way it was set up here, hopefully we will be able to get through everything tonight to go to the public hearing, which means we won't meet next week, and Tina will be able to warn the public hearing in time. So we won't have to go down to Concord and get it corrected by an act of the legislature like we did one year. They have a bill every year which is to correct errors in town meetings. All right, so hopefully we'll be able to go to, without, get it through tonight. Now, the revised draft that was given us is called Draft 6A. It has the change is adding 12,000 to the fire department's OE. Otherwise, it's the same as 6, which we had last time. And Judy, do you wanna give us a little
Let me
more
walk through
summary
it,
of
because
that?
I think you got a 6A, and you may have gotten the second 6A, no, that's the one?
They should have the, it should say,
It
well,
should
you
be
guys,
dated
it's
122.
different, but it's,
So,
Mine's
Yeah,
dated
they have.
121.
yeah, it would be 121.
okay,
The one I sent you is the same numbers.
okay, so 129-1 shows the full-time new clerk divided in somewhat 3 parts. And then you go to the fire, and we put back in, Aaron was really great, he came in, he worked with us, we had a long conversation at the select board meeting, and in the fire, we added in a little bit of money to the, I'm looking for it right now. to the admin, 7,500. We didn't give them everything they asked for, but he was gracious about that, especially if he could share some of the clerk.
Which line are you on?
Well,
Page 4.
It's, yeah,
Yes.
it's 40154.
4 or 5.
It's in the
Goes
fold
into
on
five.
4.
It's, fire, yes, it is in the whole, fire administration, line 154.
That's added 5,000 there.
It's adding 5,000, they got 25 this year, they wanted 9360. But if they are sharing, if they can rely somewhat on the full-time clerk who's going to do grants and some firework and some town clerk work, Aaron said that that would be fine. And then we did, especially based on what we heard here last week, give the chief his salary increase to $20,000. And we do know that that does get split among some of the deputies. So that was a big change to add in. And then I'd also like to say, there is another change we could make, but if we did those changes the way we presented it, we would have cut $115,051 from the original presented budget department budget, draft 1, and we would be coming out at a 6.29 increase. I would like to encourage, let me finish, everyone to consider that. I think we would really like that. There is a slight change we could make, which could bring it down to 5.52. It's not optimum, but it's probably not critical, and that would be to take the full-time clerk, grants, bookkeeper, fire, inputter position. Probably that person wouldn't get hired until June, so it could be just 6 months for this year, but the acknowledgement that next year it'll be a full-time position.
All right, is it currently budgeted as a full year, or 3/4
Yes.
year, or a half year?
It's 36 hours, which is a full year.
So the number in this is 36 hours
Yes.
for a full year? Okay.
Yes.
Right,
Yes,
And the change is 36 hours for 6 months.
right.
and that's correct. And then it'll be 36 hours for a full year, that's our intent. I'd also like to say, we've had really good conversations with Aaron. They were very open and frank. We all understand that the fire, these guys really do put their lives on the line, and they do really work hard. There are limits, just plain financially, to what can get done every year. Also, I'd like to recognize, and I think it's important, our police are in the same situation. Those guys, they never know what they're gonna find when they go out. And we've seen, not in Lyme, but in other places, how dangerous that job is. And our highway workers also are, they go out in the middle of the storm, whether it's ice or snow or whatever, and they're out there and it's 2 AM and it's dark and it's cold and they don't know what's coming down the road ahead of them. And I just think all of our workers in their respective positions are all due our respect and thanks. And I would like to single out one particular one. They're all heroes. They all work for this town and live with themselves. I just needed to say that. That's all, I'm done.
Does anybody on the board have any questions they wanna ask, or anything being addressed in the operating budget? Before I ask Scott and Aaron for their input on the operating budget, since they're here.
I just wanted to add, Judy, the 153 on line 6, I think it comes from the department column 17, 19, but that adds up to 127. What's the other line? I think it's.
The 153 is
This is the new
Yeah.
person.
the three,
Right, but I.
It's that one, and the new person.
right, the three,
The new person.
projected 3 employees in the
26.
executive office, 2
So-
clerks and an administrator.
Okay, so that's because the other lines were reduced by 100%,
Yep.
and then there was just the additional, okay.
Right,
Yeah,
That's all I
those
wanted
lines
to
will
do.
go away.
Any other questions for board members? Scott?
I have two questions. One that I should know the answer to at this point in my budget committee process. Is this for a fiscal year that started January
Yes,
first?
it is.
Okay, thank you.
You're
And then
welcome.
the
My
second
husband
question,
asked me that same thing today.
well, because we're talking about, I mean, so obviously we don't have a full-time
That's
person who
right.
started yet, so,
Right.
That's where the idea came from.
yeah.
Aren't
You've
we
already
clever?
done it. You've already done one of the 6 months.
That's right.
And the fact you haven't.
We have the months reports approved.
Yeah, and then my second question is with the admin line in the fire department and the possibility of having this extra clerk, is, I guess my question is like, how much time is the clerk expected to
We're
budget or-
thinking some 20 hours in the executive office with Gina, and then sharing the remainder 16 hours between fire and town clerk. Hopefully somewhat equally, but some weeks maybe more fire and some weeks maybe more town clerk.
And Aaron and I talked about hours. We didn't finalize anything, but we wanted to make sure that there was enough hours in there to cover what they might need.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I have one question. Anybody else on the board? All right, we've already gonna be basically 2 months in before we get somebody on board. Yet we're funding this for the entire year. So there's no way we can actually have somebody hired for at least 1/6 of the year.
Well, it has to pass in March.
We're not
before
gonna
we
even
can
advertise until after
So,
town meeting.
therefore, to fund it for 12 months at 36 hours, to me seems a little excessive, because we're really talking about 9 months,
At the
Not
most.
even 9.
No,
Probably
not even
less.
9,
Yeah.
I think practically 6.
say practically 6.
We can advertise to start June 1st.
So that, the question to me is, Judy didn't give us what the quote total was for the clerk there. If we cut it down from a 12-month to either a 9-month or a 6 months, how much money we could take off. Now, since we only vote the total
Yep.
Right.
here, and it's up to the selectmen to find out which lines this is. And then within the blue with dark, it's department heads, basically.
Well, I can give you the difference. So the 6.2% total for the operating budget is $3,005,002. And for the 6-month position, it is $2,983,134.45.
No,
$135.
135.
Okay. Thank you.
DRA does not allow you
Good
to have
rounding.
pennies in the spreadsheet.
Right.
You should know that by now.
I do, I don't report to the DRA.
Yeah, but they look at what we publish and it gets in trouble sometimes.
So,
So it's $22,000.
somewhere in that, 153 down to 141 for that line.
So therefore, the total, if we go for a 6-month with clerk, would be 2,983,135.
It's nice being under 3.
The total
Yes.
is, what did you say? It's.
2,983,135.
Yes,
Correct.
All right.
that's it. Yep.
I would move to make that amendment if that's what the next steps
Now,
are.
remember what we're doing is this is what we would take to the public hearing.
Right,
Depending on input at the public hearing, we may or may not change what we take to the public hearing.
Yep,
so but my only other thought would be that, but in doing so, as you kind of said, Judy, that we would be committing next year to increasing it back to half
A
of
full year,
that.
yeah.
Right,
I don't
with
think
that
you're
commitment.
signing an oath that that's gonna happen, but
It's
we
an
would
understanding.
want you to understand that certainly that's what we will present. The
But-
offset to that for next year,
As the
we
police,
hope, is that the police will have 2 full-time people instead of
That's
3 for
correct.
6 months, yeah, and then.
so our personnel costs would be about even in terms of FTEs.
Right, in
Yeah,
total budget.
and if you look at the police budget, I think we estimated somewhere in there realm of 305,000 next year in that line instead of, and of course I can never find it when I want to, but it's a fair savings.
It's 304,
Police, it's, right now it's 373.
right,
So they
Yeah,
can
that's a bigger
offset
change than this.
each other if we can. We
yeah.
also need to remember next year, probably, we're gonna have, probably gonna try and do the mowing along the highways and streets, which may up the highway budget some, but that's a discussion for next year.
And I guess I will point out, this person is being hired to look for grants.
Yes,
And any dough that they bring in
really helps.
offsets that additional salary, so.
Yep,
All right, I have a,
No.
I guess, proposed amendment to the total from Hayes. Do I hear a second for the
Second.
lower? Bill?
Yes.
Now, do I hear a motion to take 2,983,135
Wait a minute, did you vote on the first?
amendment?
no, we didn't vote on anything
Okay.
yet.
We have, yeah, well, all
What
right.
did she move?
The
So-
amended
Second.
motion would be.
She's just moving this number.
So with that, all right,
I'm confused.
we
sorry.
never moved the total of 6A. So we've got a total
Right,
now, revised total of 6A that two people agreed to. Those in favor of that amendment to the total?
Aye.
In favor? Opposed? One. So therefore, the next step is to vote on the motion for the 2,983,135 to go to the public hearing.
No, wait a minute.
What did we just vote
I
on?
Didn't we
thought
just
that's
do that?
what we just voted on.
No, we voted to amend the 6A total to that.
Oh, so we voted in favor to amend the,
that's why I was confused.
Yes.
I'm like,
All
what
right.
is going on here?
All
Yeah,
right,
you
I may be a little confused, I
You just-
apologize.
Just move what you wanna vote.
okay,
All right, now we have a motion to take 2,983,135 to the public hearing.
So moved.
And we have Wilks
I'll second.
and Scott.
and Scott.
Now, in this case, I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote, because this is our reason that, for lack of
Now,
better.
do you wanna have discussion before you have the vote?
I was gonna say, I just wanted to explain my vote.
Ask her, ask her.
And I take this from a personal perspective, I'm actually concerned about the roadside mowing, because I live at the Goose Pond Four Corners, where the roadside mowing makes a huge difference. I'm sure we're not the only place in town. I just know that the year that you didn't do the roadside mowing was a scary year.
Mhm.
So that's, I'm looking at this going, that money would cover almost all of the roadside mowing. So that's my only comment. I also recognize that there are other priorities, but I wanted that just to be reflected and said.
Appreciate that.
All right, actually, I'm sort of out of line, but anyway, Scott, are you, either of you wanna say anything?
I like what she said. Like, as a person who goes out when it doesn't work out well, I like what she said.
So if we get any, how much is the roadside mowing using, 10 or 20,000?
No,
It's like 25.
25?
24/7 it was.
Okay.
So that's something to look for within this total.
Yeah.
Well, you found
It's the
close to that.
timing, I would say the timing of the,
I mean, that was last year
Well-
too. I mean, I don't think we ever got a bid, did we?
I don't remember, but if, yes, we did get a
We
bid.
did.
But if it's really bad, we can have Matt go out with a whipper and whip
I mean,
things, I mean.
What a lot of
that's-
people don't realize is, I think we went 3 years without roadside
Right.
mowing.
I think it was a long time,
It was.
because I remember being out there on my corner with a little thing, trying to cut it down.
But they were trying to do
Challenge.
intersections. I mean, it's
And
not as good,
bridges, yeah.
but
Well, it
You
narrows the
do ours by
roads.
yourself.
Yeah.
I know, you're so good.
Drive down the middle. It just is scary.
It is, you gotta hurry back.
There's a concern then about this budget does not include roadside mowing by the highway department.
I will likely ultimately vote for the budget, but I wanted to have that discussion.
If something was considered. Any other comments on this amendment before I take the vote on what goes to the public hearing? Remember, we could add that 25,000 in public hearing, because that's not a significant change. Could, doesn't mean we would. All right, roll call vote. Ken,
Yeah.
Judy,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
I don't vote. Scott,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Wilks,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Vince is over in Europe somewhere. So,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yep, in favor. Okay,
all right,
now, that's the big deal.
now we go to the warrant articles.
And I'm glad that we had an opportunity to look at these again. Article 2 has no money in it, so that doesn't matter. Article 3.
We've already voted.
Yeah,
We voted.
change that.
Article 4, we voted, that hasn't changed.
No, we
Oh,
haven't
we
voted
haven't
on
voted
any
on
of them to go to the capital reserve
Okay.
funds yet.
Okay, hang on, go for it.
Our article, as I read Article 4, it is the same as last year.
Right.
Now, we can quibble that we're not funding any of these funds at the level that they need to cover the purchase of the stuff that they theoretically purchase. I think we all know that.
It would be the select board's intent to put a lot more money in next year in this area, not level funded again. I have no idea what that would look like, but.
Well, I know we cut the EMT vehicle
Which is,
because it's underfunded. Now, putting extra money in it this year would not get the vehicle for the EMTs, because it has to be in at the 30th of December.
till next time.
So therefore, this year's appropriation would not,
It won't work this year.
Wouldn't
but
work for
next-
getting their
Next
vehicle.
year's, town meeting, it would work for it.
but we've already got the 25 going into the fund that would cover it.
Right,
Just so people know that putting extra in at this point doesn't buy the vehicle that we have to cut.
they don't know it's cut yet.
Next page.
That's right.
All right, any questions about the level funding of the 2 capital reserve funds? Bill's,
Well, I just, I noticed we've got a worksheet here, which I thought was helpful, it's just to, more a summary way to show us what the net is. Cause some of the money we're putting in, but at the same meeting, we're taking some money out, but that doesn't happen till another article.
yeah,
So, and if we have to go article by article, I guess that's okay, but we're missing the other
The other
side of the
piece-
picture when we talk about number 5, we really have to look at number 11 or something to understand the full.
Well,
impact.
actually, it's down, you're right, if the vehicle capital reserve is the one who's really taking the hit. And it's got, a withdrawal of $417,000, this is Article 8, $705, and for 2 highway trucks. And then Article 9, which is another 85,000, and then we have to pay the $82,252 for the fire truck annual payment. So that 593 is going to be reduced. It will not zero out, but what Aaron and Dick were alluding to is that there was an Article 12 to purchase a fire and EMS truck, and that will be coming forward next year, not this year.
But basically, we're spending $14,000 more than we're putting in, if I do that arithmetic.
Yeah, we're gonna draw down that 593
I'm
pretty
just-
low, and then we will add 225, which can be used next year, but yes, we need to start adding more.
And I guess the other piece of that question then is the 400,000 difference, at some point, that will hit the tax rate.
When we get the fund where it should be, if we ever get it where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's easy, because we have the funds, pardon the expression, kick the can down the road. But essentially, we're saving a lot of money on the tax rate this year by drawing another 400,000 out of the funds that we're putting in.
Yep.
So my.
We're not trying to do a shell game,
No,
but
no, no,
we're,
no.
but we're also saying, yes, we purposely tried to keep this flat so we could do some other things, and then hopefully those things sort of, level out,
Right.
and then we can put some money in here.
Sorry about that.
And yes, at some point,
Yeah. Maybe DRA doesn't ask for it, but do we have a 5 or 10-year look based on what the folks that ask for the big bucks occasionally?
yes, we do. We go out to, I think it's 2033. We do, Dina is revising it because it's based on either a 3% or 5% increase, which we know
About 3%, yeah.
is not what's happening now, so we have to change it, but yes, the trucks go, and the big equipment, and even a new truck, if we get it, they go into the schedule of replacement.
And it also had vehicles that were spread out over anywhere from 5 to 7 years, purchasing with a loan,
Mhm.
because that's what we did that one year. with
Yeah,
the
and we-
police and the fire.
And it really paid off,
And-
but the interest rate was quite low,
They were- Right.
so we kinda made more money
And now
keeping it
it's-
in the
Yeah,
fund.
what I
Now
was
it's not
trying,
the best
what I
thing
was
to
trying
do.
to come back to is, are you satisfied with that projection, even though we don't have it in front of us? I mean, are you satisfied with that projection, that it's adequate to fund the machinery that you see on the horizon gonna be needed without having significant
I think
year-to-year
it's
ripples in the tax rate?
Adequate, and for instance, next year, there was nothing to be purchased, so the fire EMS truck slips in there nicely. But it's not adequate if we keep saying we're putting the same amount in every year. So we do, even if it's a small
Yeah.
increase, we need to do that.
Right.
Because when the time comes for some of the big machines,
Mhm, yep.
those prices are
So
just.
you have a plan anyway that
We have a plan.
you believe it addresses the question about managing the trust funds?
I believe it, I hope it.
Yeah, I know, okay,
I am not an economist nor a financial guru.
well,
I can balance my checkbook.
but you have something that you work off
Yes.
of, that each year you can look back and
Yeah.
update it, project another year,
Yeah.
so that we're not going to get to that, hopefully get to that situation where one of the, whatever it is, breaks down and they come and they say it's cheaper to buy than fix, and.
Yes, and Scott has persuaded the board that he wants to buy vehicles with a good warranty that covers 7 years. So we can keep those vehicles in better shape at less cost.
Yes.
So we're gonna go forward with that, and we think that that may make a big difference.
Yeah.
Because it's usually the 5, 6, 7 years that they start costing a lot of money. Am I correct in that, Scott?
That helps a lot, sort of look at this from an overview perspective without necessarily getting, caught up in each individual piece, which is, kind of gets, you have.
I mean, I think, and I've always felt this way, we could easily put 200,000 extra in the vehicle fund, and it would definitely be used. It's whether we've got enough in there to see us through the next 2 or 3 years. And I think the realistic goal that we have to look at is we can only look to have it cover us for another couple of years, not when the new fire truck comes due in
Like, I-
15 years at $1 million.
Well, it's, yeah,
It's already $1 million,
let's say,
isn't it?
if you want like a 30-second hijack, I'm happy to give it. If not, I can defer.
Let's hear it.
So we've been looking really hard at our engine 2 replacement, because that originally was a 24-year schedule. It's a 2004, which would mean that it would be replaced in 2028. Right now with the build times, it's, as of a meeting I went to yesterday, it's a 30-month time period from order to delivery of fire truck, which would basically mean next year we'd be talking about this. We're looking at that and saying, we have a truck that's pre-emissions, has low miles, is in good shape, needs a retrofit. New lighting, some of the new electronics, send it out, have it come back. So instead of $1 million, $850, 8% increase, so 2 more years, was that nine and a quarter? Instead of looking at a 9 and a quarter truck, we're looking at 250,000 to 300,000 in that time period to get 12 to 14 years out of the existing chassis. So that's kind of what we're trying to pivot to try to look at ways to maintain what we have, keep it in good shape, and not have that wall come.
And pre-emissions is a really nice thing to do.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah.
We've had more
It's nice,
issues
it's a
with our
nightmare.
2020 truck in the emissions in the motors than we've had in the entirety of the time we had the 2004 already. So, yeah, those are the things we're looking at, and our hope is that we can not create this wall of $1 million coming at us. But that kicks the ball down the road for 12 to 14 years, and what happens when multiple kind of stack up at that point. So that's the stuff we're looking at right now. Yeah.
I think, Scott, you've got the similar type situation when your grader, for example, that's
Oh,
huge
yeah.
when it comes due. And there isn't enough money in the fund at the rate we're funding it to cover it.
And the worst thing is, I mean, it's not gonna last as long as the other grader did with the emissions. I mean, it's expensive.
Mhm. And what about the excavator? Are you gonna not replace it and just
I'm not
rent one
replacing it.
when you need it? So that might give some
Just-
breathing room, but,
Just the backhoe
mhm.
is on the schedule. I'm not replacing when the excavator's down, it's done.
Thank you, Scott.
I think I'd like to summarize where we are, is we know that in the future, regardless of what we put in this year, we're gonna have to put in more. But we're gonna need more work in terms to figure out how much we have to put in and when. And we're not ready this year to do everything but a wag as to how much to put in extra if we put in more than level funding. Everybody know what a wag is?
I'll ask yes.
I knew somebody would say
Now
that.
he knows.
Do we have to vote each one of these separately?
Well, I was proposing that we vote the two together that are this tax money, and then we can vote the other ones which are all in and out together. So we only have basically 2 more votes.
No, you only have one
You
more.
only have
There's
No.
only one more to be raised by taxes. The
I
rest
thought
are
we
on-
had 2 that,
Well, you did, you had the regular, the operating
Operating
budget
budget.
and then the capital reserve, but you already.
well, yeah, but the capital reserve, which one are we taking out? Oh, the 2 capital reserves, right.
Right,
Right, 2 capital reserve, which is number
One
4.
more.
All right, so this is,
I mean, you need to vote them all, but you need to, this is the only one
Number,
that left, so,
all right, and that's the 410
yes.
yes.
here. After this discussion, does people want to make a motion to send 410 to the public hearing?
I'll second it.
All right, again, this is our reason for existence, basically, so roll call vote. Jen?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Wilks?
Yes.
Keith? Kristen?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
All right. Now, we have a series of articles that are in and out articles. And the first one is Article 5, which is this recreational facility thing. Where does that $6,000 or $600 come from?
From boat rack sales,
Oh,
we have to vote the money to
Yeah.
put into the capital reserve fund.
right. Anybody have any questions about that, or is it well enough understood that we don't have to spend any more time on it? The next one is our state gas tax.
Are you gonna move it?
No, we're gonna do them all together.
Well, that's only gonna work if everybody's gonna vote the same way.
Well, we'll see if there's any discussion that indicates that that won't work.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, all right. The reaction I got from the $600 indicated that it might work for the rest of them. All right, the New Hampshire block grant, that's the gas tax money, our share of it. That's in and out. That's been around for years. That used to be our road upgrade paving budget. I don't know how you use it now, Scott.
Same.
All right, the next one is the Public Works Facility Capital Reserve Fund, 81717, that's the highway garage fund.
No, it's a
Fire
fire
station.
department.
Oh, fire station bond.
Yep.
We've already voted to spend that, so there's not much we can do about that one. And then this is the withdrawal from the vehicle fund,
Touched on.
we touched on briefly. It's 2 trucks for a 1 and a 5,
A 1 and a 5, yes.
and a police car.
And the police car is the next Article 9, which
It's
is
in one by
85,000.
Oh. The 2 trucks are 200,000 each now, with all the equipment on?
One's a little more, and one's a little
One's-
less.
One's 260 and one is 160.
Thereabouts.
Whoa,
I remember when we were getting a little truck for like 70,000.
You should have bought 70 and put them in boxes.
Yeah.
You would have to build a new highway garage.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a 1 and a 5 in Article 8. And Article 9 is the police car. Any questions about those vehicles coming out of the vehicle fund? Computer system upgrade capital reserve fund, 8K. What's this, printer and a copy?
Yeah.
Upgrade?
Printer and a copy.
Skip number 10.
Yeah, you skipped number 10, Dick, but. that's
Did I?
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I thought
That's all
This
right.
is the
Fire
fire
truck
truck.
Yeah.
loan,
I know.
that comes out of the vehicle.
It's a public, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you didn't
All
miss it.
right, I'm sorry. I saw 2 in the 80s.
Sorry. Yes, a printer and a copier for our office.
Any questions about that one?
Are we on 10 or 11?
You're
We're
on
on
11.
11 right now, the computer.
We're gonna go back to
Do you
10?
wanna go to
Yeah.
10?
Yeah,
So 82,252, over here on the paper, it says 81,252 is the payoff, is this the last payment, or which one is correct?
No, it's 8252, sorry.
So bottom left,
Yeah. Yeah,
so it's 82, okay, so this is.
all right, there's a typo on that
this
one.
is a typo, but
Yep.
this.
I'm going by the warrant
And
rather
it's the
than.
last, well, I just wanna make sure it's
Yeah.
Right
correct,
down
It has
to the
to be on
bottom
the
here.
warrant. Right,
It's
yes.
82.
and that's the
Thank you.
last payment.
Yes.
Yes,
Payment, yes.
Woo-hoo.
that's right.
And Dina, this is just a nitpick, and I
Mhm.
could tell you later, but I'll forget. Withdrawal from the, you should add the word computer if you can, capital reserve fund. Number 11.
Pick the language that the trustees use.
I thought I,
Oh, I don't know, someone told me that it should be that way, so I'm
Well,
telling you.
right. But I mean, you gotta check and make sure it tracks with
Do you have an
trustees.
old one?
I might have an old
Mine
one.
says computer system
Yeah.
upgrade capital
Yeah.
reserve fund, my warrant.
Very good.
Don't you need the word from, though?
No, it's a withdrawal computer, it's
From.
whatever,
Yeah, you need to insert from.
yeah.
Oh, see, so one got corrected, mine
It's
was the old
fine.
one, had the front, but not the computer.
Oh, oh, oh.
No, the correction of the correction, Dina.
I'm sure when I get it back from the DRA, they will,
They will
Have it
have let you
fixed.
know.
they let me
Sorry.
know where there's any, but that's all right, no, it's fine.
Okay.
Any questions on that baby?
Sorry,
Scott?
I'm really far behind, can I go back to our
Yes,
line
you
and
can
ask
go
a
back.
question? Thank you. So the, new police vehicle, I think this is to replace one that's being retired, right? It's not because we have 2.5 police
No.
officers?
No.
It's to keep two vehicles.
Okay,
No, we won't have three.
They've been out patrolling a lot.
They have, yes.
That's
I've
good.
been by them a couple
Oh,
times.
Yeah.
have you slowed down?
I slowed down and talked to them yesterday.
Oh, very good.
I got out of the car, I thought maybe I was going too fast, so I stopped.
The new
went
guy
out and
wants to
talked
make
them.
sure he meets as many people as he can.
Was it the new person,
Yeah,
or
I
was
was
it?
talking to
Both of
him for a
them
while
got
at
in
Park
the car.
Center.
Yeah,
Very nice.
So introduce
Nick.
yourself to Ken, it's Ken, isn't it? The new-
Nick.
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 Nicholas,
Tim Marino, what's his name?
Nicholas Torino.
Torino, yeah. He seems young.
They
We
all
don't talk
seem
about
young,
age,
Will.
but, you know,
He was very nice,
he's
he
not
was very
seasoned
nice.
like us.
He has good experience.
Yes, he
And
He
they were
does.
comes
both in
to
the
us
car.
from
He
Nantucket.
just moved here, right, him and
He's
his
from
wife.
Nantucket?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that's where no, he's
As a
from,
police.
he's from Heartland, Vermont, that's where he
Yeah.
grew up, and he went to Hartford High School.
Thought to ask him.
Got married,
Yeah,
and
you
it
may have
was on
seen him there.
Nantucket.
Yeah, I thought I had seen him, I was surprised.
All right,
Show you the guy who's-
As long as you all vote the same way. We'll see- give us the
Independence
rights here,
Day Celebration Special Reserve Fund, Article 12, the 6747. I didn't know we were selling chicken
It's
barbecue.
just money that's been hanging there for
It's been-
years,
it's
it's
been there for a
itching
while.
for somebody to do a celebration.
Is if anyone has any extra
Every year we say
energy.
the same thing,
Yeah.
doesn't anyone wanna do that?
That was never tax money in that fund anyway.
No,
No,
it's
never.
not, lots of chicken,
And the Lyme Winter Carnival, so, right?
Yeah, I remember
that's right, that's
that.
where it started.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was fun.
Penguin posse and all that
That's
fun
right.
stuff.
That's right.
All right, now this Article 13 is the mill flow, which nobody ever really understood.
What do you mean?
What do you not understand, Dick, about
It's
that?
good.
All right, we've got a certain amount of carryover.
Yep, 14,832 is the carryover from the revolving, non-lapsing appropriation.
But what's the
The
46,420?
total is 46,420, that's the total you're voting, but it's broken out into
3 pieces.
3 pieces. The 23,210 is a 50% matching grant from the state of New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. The 14,832 is what's left in the revolving fund. And the 8,378 is going to hopefully come from the Conservation Commission, because each year they make up the difference. They haven't voted on it yet, but it's a timing issue.
Does anybody have any questions about that convoluted funding?
I'm just curious about,
Except our tax money isn't there directly.
I'm just curious about the
Nothing's
50% grant, is
Yeah.
that something that we get every year? Is it, it's already been approved and we just, it's spread out, or? I'm
It's
wondering
already
whether the
approved.
budget crunch that New Hampshire State is likely going to face is gonna
Yeah.
affect that.
It's already approved. And it varies. Some years it's 40, some years it's 30, some years it's 50,
Based on what the state decides to send us?
based on what they decide prior to us getting it. So it's
So
already
that
committed,
could-
it's committed.
Yeah.
No, it's committed.
Another
Okay.
year,
It
it
won't
could be
change.
very different.
Next year it could be 30.
That's what I was wondering.
Well, we've got a new administration here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. That
she
has-
does have a lot in common with the previous administration, unlike the
Except for-
DC administrations.
Except for she doesn't have that business and interest tax to rely on.
Yeah, she
Or
doesn't have a
the
ski area to fall back on.
COVID money,
Or the
federal
COVID
money is
money.
going away. Yeah, it's not gonna be,
Yeah,
it's
there's
not gonna be pretty.
all right, and then the final money article is Article 14, which is the revenue from selling cemetery lots goes into cemetery fund.
No, it's not.
But this
Is that-
particular
No,
one
this is a
is,
donation from the Wise Fund from years and years and years and years
Oh,
ago.
that we never managed
And we
to
just
spend
keep
it.
voting it because we're gonna spend it, and we really were gonna spend it last year, but we're really gonna spend it this year. It's the computer program that we're getting,
All right,
it just hasn't
now,
happened
what
yet.
happened to the revenue from selling the lots that was supposed to go into one of the cemetery funds?
It goes directly to the trustees of the trust funds, and they put it in that fund.
We don't have to vote that
No.
anymore?
Not anymore,
Because for a number of years, we had to vote that every year.
correct,
I
but
think
you
we
do
did
not.
that cypre thing or whatever it was.
No, that's
before.
Bessie Hall, but,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah,
And the Bessie Hall is an automatic one too, we don't vote
it's a
for it.
cypre, yeah, the town doesn't vote it at all.
That's the fire department.
That's correct.
So.
We have a fund that it
we're
sits in,
looking at
but
Articles
the interest.
We're looking at
5.
Articles 5 through
14.
5 through 14. Now, are people happy voting 514 as written in the warrant to go to the public hearing as a single vote? Is there anyone that would like to break them apart? Hearing none. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
That means-
All right, now let me get my attendance sheet here.
Now a second.
Who seconded?
Hayes
Hayes.
did.
Hayes. Thank you, Hayes.
All right, Jen. Judy,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Wilks,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
You're
Alright.
lucky, Dick.
The minutes will be so much easier.
I know,
They just
I
have to
love
be
it, no, it's
fast.
much better, yeah.
Excellent.
Jordan will have an easy time, she's on Zoom taking minutes right now,
How'd
so.
you know that?
She didn't wanna come out in the cold,
Yes, I don't blame her.
I don't.
None of us really want to come
I
out
was
of the cold,
jealous.
did we? All right, at this point, we do not have to have a meeting next week.
No.
Dina will be warning the public hearing. And if there's anything that needs to come up in the public hearing, I would be open for anybody, even the board member, if they think we made an error somewhere and something needs to be amended. As long as the change is not significant, is what the wording is. And I believe we had one issue that came up for discussion, which was the roadside mowing in the OE budget. And we can bring that up at the public hearing if people still feel it's something we wanna bring up. I'd rather bring it up at the public hearing than have it raise its ugly head on the floor of town meeting. So if you can get a feeling of whether if we do not do it ourselves, it arise via the floor of town meeting, I would just as soon present the town an agreement between the budget committee and the selectmen and the school board on the budgets.
Mhm.
And if we can all agree on that, I think that would be a wonderful thing to accomplish.
That would be really great. This would be a good year for that.
All right.
Well, I'll just say the selectmen's will be different though, because you've already voted.
I got a silly question. Could you do roadside mowing for less than $17,000, keeping the budget just below 3 million?
Do everything but a couple corners.
Yeah.
I don't think so,
We'll mow up
Scott,
along
isn't
our
it?
stuff a
No,
little
I mean,
further.
it's
Yeah,
it's
they
a
will mow, if
reality.
they mow, they won't just mow your corner.
Well, I'm asking Scott, yeah, isn't it a reality that
Yeah.
guys can go around with a couple of whippers and do the difficult corners and the dangerous spots here and there? I know Matt can.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get them, if they'll come down here, because
No,
The
I'm
company
talking
that we
about,
had last year.
I'm talking about our guys. Oh, you mean, yeah,
Yeah.
they can take care of any dangerous corner for
All right,
17,000, I like your idea.
with
I'm
this,
gonna practice, if I can get my mower over the gully, I could go right up like this. You can come and school me on how to do that.
A little sickle mower's no problem.
I tried that.
sickle
My
bar.
section's all poison ivy, I don't whip,
Rich knows how to do that.
I don't go anywhere near that stuff, I'm ready to say that's deep.
When is the public hearing? I'm sorry.
And most
2
of
weeks
the
from now,
sections are
same time.
poison ivy.
February 5th.
February fifth, 7 o'clock, right here.
Not even that stuff.
And then if we get any petitioned warrant article that involve money,
And
you'll,
we can't hold it earlier because the day before that is when petition warrant articles are due. And we have to include those in the public hearing as written. So we either recommend it or don't recommend it on the petition warrant article,
If it has money in it.
if it has money in it. Doesn't have money in it, we don't touch it. Any questions more?
Is there any gossip about what might happen at the public hearing?
I haven't heard
Or we don't
anything.
do gossip, I'm sorry.
yeah, we do
Yeah,
not
we
do
do.
gossip.
We listen.
That's right.
We try to think it will go away, but it doesn't always.
I'll move to adjourn.
All right, Judy,
I'll
adjourn.
second
Second, anybody that doesn't want to adjourn can stick around.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry,
No,
Well-
I was busy
All right.
wandering my brain.
Thanks, Scott, and thank Aaron for being here. We appreciate it.
Have a good one.
And I just want to remind you that the 5 of you whose terms expire, if you want to be back on it, go see our town clerk
Something I think in
or
like
check in on the
Let's do
web.
it.
We said if you've got the form that you can sign up for on the web.
That's where he says.
I know, I've never seen that before, is that new?
It is, I think.
It's the only thing I hadn't talked about, I was like, I just wanna know, like, as
Yeah.
a
I was like, oh my God,